Hey everyone. In this video I want to talk to you about something I find fascinating, which is most creatures out there are conflict averse. This is something I've noticed in my life just because I love animals and I love the psychology of animals, even the psychology of human beings. And hey, sure enough, we're animals. We aren't separate from that group. We fall in that category, and you could see evidence of it every day because of how human beings just act out their nature and that sort of thing. So they act out their instincts. So yeah, I mean, we're not separate from that, but it's really fascinating to understand this phenomenon because it can help you out in life just in general, especially if you live in an area that has a lot of wildlife. Knowing this concept can help you if you happen to go outdoors all the time, you go hiking or do other activities like that that could put you in the path of a predator, for instance, or even prey, because a lot of prey animals can be incredibly dangerous to us as well. It's not just predators. I mean, people get gored in Yellowstone National Park almost every freaking year at this point. So yeah, it's not just predators that are threatening to us human beings. But I want to talk about this concept because it's a fascinating one. So most creatures out there are conflict averse because they want to avoid injury. If they get injured, most of the time that means death for them, whether it's a prey animal, predator. It even applies to bugs and insects and other small creatures like that. Because if they get hurt, nobody else is going to help them for the most part, unless it's like a pack animal. But even then, it puts them at risk because they will be the main target of any predators that come across them. So for the most part, it seems like almost every creature out there is conflict averse first and foremost. Now that does not mean that they will avoid how do I put it? That they will avoid dangerous situations if they present themselves, because obviously animals are going to go into fight or flight mode in situations that call for it, and sometimes that will mean fighting, and they won't be afraid of doing that if they believe it's the best choice for their survival. So I'm not saying like every animal is so conflict averse that they will completely avoid conflict at all. Not true. There are many animals that if cornered will bite or headbutt or stampede or do whatever they're equipped to do. But for the most part, animals and other creatures aim to avoid any kind of conflicting situations. So you can even realize this, you can test this out even with insects, for instance. Like a lot of people believe that spiders are very aggressive or bugs, should I say, but they're actually not. Like you can mess around, find a spider in a yard somewhere or maybe in your house and just bang the area near it. Whatever surface it's on, if it's on dirt, if it's on your wall or on the ground, just bang near it with your hand. And you'll notice that spider is not going to immediately run at your hand and try to bite you. No, most of them are going to run away because they're conflict averse, and you're making all these vibrations and this loud sound that scares it because it knows that means you're a threat. If you were to bang your hand on top of it, you would crush it and kill it. So it's going to run away. So there you go. That's another reason I wanted to make this video, to clear up all these myths that people believe surrounding animals and insects and bugs, because very few of them are going to go out of their way to hurt you. If they can avoid conflict, they are going to usually go that route unless they're starving. That obviously won't apply to bugs because they're not going to try to eat a human being. You're way too much food for them. But obviously for predator animals, this is a bit different. If you were to come across a bear or a mountain lion when you're on a hike, most people would rightly be afraid in that situation because you don't know how that predator will react, and that uncertainty makes it dangerous because you don't know if it'll attack you. But I do want to say, most of the time in those situations, I truly believe unless the animal is starving, it will not attack you because they're going to follow that rule of being conflict averse. So the right thing to do if you encounter a predator in the wild like that is to just stay calm and stand your ground. If you need to get away from it, which you probably will want to, backpedal away calmly. You don't want to turn around and run, because immediately right then and there, guess what you're doing? You're proving that if it were to go after you, it's likely going to avoid conflict because you're a prey. You're acting out like a prey instinct at that point in time. And usually when an animal has its back to you and it's running away from you, it's not threatening anymore. So if a predator doesn't perceive you as a threat, it's not going to be afraid of you, which means it's not going to be afraid of conflict with you anymore. So you always want to hold on to being threatening. You want to hold on to the power that gives you. By the way, here I'm not at all talking human to human relationships, so please don't extrapolate that. I'm talking about human with animal because here it holds true. Maybe this could hold true with like human relationships as well, but I don't think going around being threatening is going to help you get far in life. So yeah, don't make that extrapolation here because that is not what I'm saying. But with predator animals, this almost always holds true. Usually people believe that if they were to encounter a predator, that predator will want to attack them and eat them. But like I said earlier, unless that animal is starving, they usually won't go that route. Now, sometimes predators will bluff charge because if they don't know what you are, they're going to try to test you. They want to see what you are to them. They want to see if you're a threat or if you're a non-threat. So they'll bluff charge. And the right thing to do in that situation is, again, to be calm and just stand your ground. It's really interesting here because so many people would, fall victim to a bluff charge. They would think that, oh crap, this predator is running at me. It wants to kill me and eat me. But like I said, you just have to remember most of them are conflict averse. There was a video that went around, I think it was like last year, that went viral of this I think he was a cyclist somewhere in Colorado, and he encountered a mountain lion on one of his rides because he got too close to the cubs. He didn't even know they were there, I think. And then the mom, sure enough, came out to protect the cubs. And if you watch that video, it's like 3 or 4 or 5 minutes long. Throughout that video, the mom mountain lion bluff charges him time and time again, but she never actually attacks him. Why? Because her cubs are nearby. She doesn't want to risk injury. And if she doesn't know that cyclist is a threat to her, she's not going to want to, or wait, maybe he wasn't a cyclist. I think he was actually a runner. But yeah, anyway, it doesn't really matter all that much. But she just didn't know whether or not he was a threat to her. And because he didn't turn tail and run, instead he was backpedaling and remained calm, she just kept bluff charging him time and time again, trying to get him to leave the area and basically testing him. If he had turned around and run, I doubt she would have attacked him and eaten him because, yet again, her cubs were nearby, but she for sure would have known he wasn't a threat at that point. So that would immediately make her not afraid of him. But since he kept standing his ground, she was very cautious. So this is the way you need to think if you ever encounter a predator when you're outside and hiking or running or doing whatever other outdoorsy activities. For the most part, you just want to remember you need to come off like you could potentially be a threat to them, because as soon as you lose that, you're losing all the cards in your deck, and the predator will immediately know, hey, I don't need to be afraid of this person anymore, and you're screwed, or potentially could be screwed. So yeah, this is kind of a funny video when I think about it, but I just love this stuff, so I love learning about it, and I figured I could share it with you all because it is interesting. And there have been a few times where I've encountered predators in the wild, and they've never been threatening to me. Usually it is at a very far distance, but even then, I've never been afraid of them. It's just so many people fall into those myths, or they're not exactly myths per se, but they basically just don't understand animals and even bugs and insects. I love using that spider example because so many people are afraid of spiders, and so many people do actually believe that spiders are aggressive, but most of them are not. There are some aggressive species because it's literally like something with their personality in those species, but for the most part, most spiders aren't aggressive. They're just not. Same with many other wild animals out there. I mean, there's actually a video of men in Africa who have been bluff charged by elephants. We're talking full-grown elephants that are huge. They're like, 30 to 40 times the size of a grown man? And these things were bluff charging men. And yet, if the men know the psychology of the elephants and they know that they bluff charge like that, they stand their ground, and guess what? The elephant will stop like maybe 5 feet from them, and then will turn around and walk away. So this is just another example of how so often, if you know the right way to tackle animals, and if you know that they're conflict averse, you can walk away from scary situations in one piece and be completely fine. Because if those men had run away from the elephant, that could have been very risky, because who knows if it would have kept chasing them until it, trampled them. There we go, that's the right word. But since they stood their ground, they came off threatening to the elephant, and since it didn't know whether or not they could harm it, it just stopped when it got close to them and just walked away. Because all it was trying to do is say, get out of here. But if they stand their ground, it says, okay, you know what, I'll let you stay here because I don't know if you can harm me. And then so long as you don't, of course, keep encroaching on their territory, they'll probably lay off. So yeah, this has been a really long video of me just delving into animal psychology. But that's kind of what I intended it to be. I just wanted to do something a bit different and share one of my passions with you guys, because these are things that I randomly think about from time to time. And yeah, I mean, knowing this stuff has made it so I can go outdoors and feel a lot safer and calm at times, because yeah, I mean, there have been times where I've been on hikes with friends and you hear like rattling in a bush, not from a rattlesnake, of course, just something is in the bush, usually a bunny or a squirrel. And sometimes my friends will get scared, but I'll be more curious and I'll be like, I wonder what's in there. And I'll almost go approach it. Not always, but usually. And yeah, that's just the way I react. I don't usually get threatened by things that we encounter. And even if we were to encounter something scary, I'd probably take that approach of being calm and just knowing that as long as you come off a threat, that animal is probably not going to try to hurt you in any way, because it's going to be thinking you could potentially hurt it, and it's going to want to preserve itself. It's going to want to avoid injury. So there you go. I don't know if this video is helpful. It's very different from what I normally do, but hopefully you found it interesting at least, because yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you in this video. I truly hope you enjoyed it, and if you like content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, the easiest way you can help me out is just to throw a like and a comment on the video for the algorithm. For this video, tell me an interesting experience you had where an animal that you thought would be a threat to you turned out not to be. Like, let's say an instance where you thought a spider would potentially bite you, but it didn't. Or maybe if you actually have ever encountered a predator when you're hiking out and about, whatever it may be, share your story in the comments below, because I'm sure that would be interesting to read. But that's all I have for you guys. I truly hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Arrivederci.